Our third government's objective is to achieve full employment. Now, this is an exam tip that when you're writing about full employment, you have to clarify the definition of what do we mean by full employment. Okay, so let me suggest. So to write that, we can say that like full employment might seem that everyone has a job. However, at any time, people are moving jobs, so there will be an element of temporary unemployment. Temporary unemployment if everyone was in employment, wages would start to rise an employer would have to compete to attract new employees. So economists define full employment as a situation where most of the people are in work, but there are enough people out of work to prevent wages from rising. From starting to rise at increasing rate. We should know that when we're measuring unemployment, there is a formula to unemployment. And we're going to discuss this a little more in when we'll discuss the economic indicators. उसमें we'll have a much more bigger detail. बट जहाँ तक अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट रेट की बात है, देर इज़ अ फॉर्मूला टू इट. अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट रेट कैसे निकालते हैं? ये ऑब्वियसली परसेंटेज है. अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट रेट निकालने के लिए यू विल टेक द नंबर ऑफ पीपल अनएम्प्लॉयड, and I mentioned in my previous lecture कि when you are not looking for work, you're not unemployed. You have to be looking for work but can't find for you to be unemployed. So unemployment rate is equals to number of people unemployed divided by the labor force into 100. We'll have a much more, again, bigger discussion on what is this labor force. But right now, you know what, I'll just mention this कि labor force का भी एक formula है. Labor force is equals to number of people employed जो काम कर रहे हैं. Obviously they were looking for work and now they found the work, so now they're working, plus number of people who are looking for work but they can't find work. That's what unemployed means, and that's what your labor force is. So therefore, you as a student are not looking for work, so you're not unemployed, you're not part of labor force. Maybe a woman who's taking care of her household, she's not looking for work, she's not part of labor force, she's not even part of the participation rate, she's not participating in the work environment. A convict, maybe a person who's disabled, not even looking for work, a person who's hospitalized, not looking for work, तो ये वाले लोग लेबर फोर्स का हिस्सा नहीं होते. ओके, सो दिस इज आवर फॉर्मूला to find out unemployment rate. The next thing we want to talk about is some benefits of achieving full employment. इन्हीं को ऑपोजिट कर दोगे तो इसके कुछ डिसएडवांटेजेस हो जाएंगे of not achieving full employment. So the main idea is, why is the government going after full employment? What do you think? What could be the reason for which they're looking for this? Number one benefit of full employment, achieving full employment, is that the resources will not be wasted and more output will be produced and consumed, leading to higher living standards. So definitely that's a good thing of people and resources being used to produce goods and services. उसके अलावा benefits will be that since people will be working, we'd say that the government tax collection will rise as more people will earn, as more people will be employed and earn incomes. So that's a good thing. उसके अलावा we could even say that the government spending on unemployment benefits will reduce. So less burden on the government, less burden on the government, and as a result they will be able to focus on more other expenditures that they might have to do. So definitely that will help. उसके अलावा since people will be working and they will be earning, they will be able to afford goods and services. So as a result we say that, like, when people are employed, and earn incomes, then social unrest and crime falls as a result of that. So it's quite good if we're able to achieve full employment, and all of these will definitely be helping out. People will be happier, they'll be able to feed themselves, the families will flourish, and the government के ऊपर उनकी relying कम हो जाएगी. So definitely that would play a good role. So how will the government deal with these problems of unemployment? So for that, first we will have to deal with the causes of unemployment. If you see this spectrum, it says less serious to the most serious. Question आ जाता है, which is the least serious type of unemployment and which is the most serious. So seriousness depends on two things. Number one, how long does it last, and number two, how many people does it affect. Versus most serious के अंदर it lasts longer and it affects a lot of people. This is what less serious and most serious means. So when we start in terms of the least serious, we say सबसे least is the temporary, then it's the seasonal, technological, frictional, structural, and then cyclical. Now in many books and even in your syllabus, they will mention three: frictional, structural, and cyclical. They're going to be talking about just these three. लेकिन वैसे तो you have four of these, you have six of these, starting from the least serious to the most serious. We're going to talk in terms of what's there, all six, and the last three ones also. So we're going to define each of them. So जो temporary unemployment होता है, this is the least serious and it affects the fewest people. This occurs, it's very short term obviously, and the example would be for this one is like, when people are leaving one job for another, or when they are leaving school before going to work. It's temporary, it's not as serious because they will find jobs and they will start working, but for now, they don't have it. Number second, not affecting too much people, and it's short term, is the seasonal. Now this usually happens for countries which have certain seasons, and it might affect people in like agriculture and tourism based countries, जहाँ पे सीजन्स की वजह से people get unemployed. It's not very serious because the next season will employ people, or meanwhile people can find other naukri वगैरह. When we're going to discuss the solutions to them, then we'll talk about this. But seasonal usually agriculture and tourism based countries को affect करती है. Okay, countries like Thailand, and other Far East countries. Then you have technological unemployment. This is when new technology replaces old workers, old skilled workers. Example, tractors replace agriculture workers. ठीक हो गया, ये टेक्नोलॉजिकल है. ऑब्वियसली नाउ द प्रॉब्लम इज बिकमिंग लार्जर, नॉट एज शॉर्ट टर्म, and it will affect more and more people now. ठीक हो गया. So this is technological. Now you have the frictional one. Frictional occurs when we say that the market system, okay, when the market system does not work smoothly, okay, it's not working smoothly. What this means is that the demand and supply of labor has mismatch. What I mean by this is demand and supply has a mismatch is like an employer, construction company ka an employer is trying to find highly skilled construction workers, but unfortunately in the market there aren't enough of them. So as a result they have no choice but to go with lower skilled people, and then they have to fire them because they're not up to the job, and then people are getting unemployed as a result of that. Alright, so this is where the problem starts. This is what frictional is about. In frictional, later on we will also talk about कि frictional किस तरह से एक तरीके का, the next name for this is search unemployment. This is happening that when you're trying to look for work for your skill which will pay you the job that you want, and you're not able to find that particular job. Why? Because there is not enough information. Not enough information. ये बेसिकली फ्रिक्शनल का ही चल रहा है. डिमांड एंड सप्लाई हैज़ अ मिसमैच, एंड एट द सेम टाइम इसको हम सर्च अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट भी बोलते हैं, in which like workers have lost their previous jobs and are searching for the new ones, but they're unable to find the new ones because there's too little information कि कहाँ पे कौन सी नौकरी अवेलेबल है उनके लेवल की. ओके, सो उसकी वजह से ये प्रॉब्लम आती है. So amongst our top three, frictional, structural and cyclical, frictional is the least worrisome. Then a little more worrisome than that is our structural unemployment. ये थोड़ा ज़्यादा long term है. Okay, and this affects, okay, so structural, like the name is suggesting, affects specific industries या regions and occupations. An example of this could be that a country is moving from, say, moving away from primary industry to secondary industry. तो इससे क्या होगा, बहुत बड़ा मेजर अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट आएगी, बिकॉज पूरी प्राइमरी सेक्टर इज़ गोइंग टू फेस प्रेशर्स ऑफ, यू नो, पूरी एक इंडस्ट्री चेंज हो रही होगी, एक पूरी एक रीजन होगा विच इज़ गोइंग टू गेट अफेक्टेड एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ दैट, and a lot of people in that occupation, since that occupation will not exist anymore, तो काफ़ी बड़ा मेजर प्रॉब्लम आएगा एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ दैट. सो फ्रिक्शनल से ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लमैटिक इन टर्म्स ऑफ द टाइम इट्स गोइंग टू स्टे and the number of people it's going to affect, and cyclical is the worst of them all. Cyclical, which is our number 6th, is the worst and the most long term based. It's a large scale unemployment. इसको हम डिमांड डेफिशिएंट अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट भी कहते हैं. डिमांड डेफिशिएंट अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट का मतलब ये हो गया कि ओवरऑल द डिमांड for all goods and services falls, and as a result all industries suffers. ये यूजली, लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल वी कुड से रिसेशंस के अंदर यू कैन फेस इट. इनफैक्ट कोविड ने भी काफ़ी हद तक सिक्लिकल अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट क्रिएट की है, और इसमें सिर्फ एक आध इंडस्ट्री को फ़र्क नहीं पड़ा. एवरीबडी इन द कंट्री, वेदर इट वाज इन टेक्सटाइल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और एजुकेशन और फूड इंडस्ट्री, everybody is getting affected, and the effects have still not gone, and it's been over almost a year or over than that. तो ये हमारी obviously it's a much more bigger problem, and it takes time for it to correct. Okay, so these are our causes. What I want to talk about right now is how the government is going to deal with each and every one of these causes of unemployment. Okay, so governments ways of dealing with unemployment. So we'll talk about each cause and how to overcome them. For example, the temporary one, the least serious one. Kids graduated, people who have just left college and they're looking for work, or they've just left one type of job, they're looking for another type of job. तो इस टेम्प्रेरी अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट को वी कैन डील बाय publicize job vacancies. कहाँ पे कौन सी नौकरी अवेलेबल है उसका कोई फोरम बनाना जहाँ पे लोग अपनी वर्कर्स और एम्प्लॉयर्स पोस्ट कर सकें टू गेट द बेस्ट कैंडिडेट. देन यू हैव सीजनल अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट. So we did say कि ये it's not a problem per se because वो सीज़न की वजह से वो नौकरी गई है, लेकिन क्योंकि लोग फारिग बैठे हैं we have to find a way for people to somehow find their second job with the season wala नौकरी whatever they have. Okay, so the way to help would be to help to find second jobs in addition to their seasonal वर्क. हमारे यहाँ बहुत कॉमन है. हमारे क्या होता है पंजाब में जिनकी ज़मीनें हैं दे कम टू कराची टू वर्क इन देयर ऑफ सीजन्स एंड देन व्हेन देयर इज सीजन दे गो बैक and they do their harvesting and whatever they need to do with their crops. Third, since the problem is now starting and it is becoming a little bigger, technological unemploys a lot of people. तो अब इनको डील करने के लिए you will have to provide educational and training opportunities focusing on new technical skills required for new jobs. So you retrain them. That would be the way to deal with the technological unemployment. Then we have this frictional unemployment जिसमें demand supply forces are not meeting. You're not able to find those workers because of the shortages. So what we can have is like training in job areas where there are shortages of supply. उसके अलावा you can providing more information, because remember I did call it there's search and employment. It's also called because people don't have enough information. तो फिर आप अपने information को improve करते हो. It could be through government and private labor recruitment agencies about job opportunities. Okay, so basically you're trying to reduce that search unemployment that might exist. Number 5 was the structural, more serious and long term. Puri industries, regions, occupations are getting affected as a result of this. So you have to find ways to encourage people and businesses to move into growth areas of the economy, or the regions or occupations. And lastly, to solve the problem of the biggest unemployment, the cyclical unemployment, जब डिमांड गिर रही है, इकोनॉमी रिसेशंस के अंदर है, and you have to pick it up, you want all industries to go back to its normal, government needs to take major steps to do it. तो हम कह रहे हैं one of the ways to do it is government की fiscal policy. So government increase in its own spending in times of recession lower business taxes to reduce costs and encourage employment of more